Bonjour or bonsoir. Welcome again to Cuisine de Michel. I'm Michel, and today we are going to be making cheese fondue. Now this is actually my creation based on other recipes that I've read, so obviously it's going to have similarities with other fondues you might have seen recipes for, but this is actually my formula. And unfortunately, it's not everything in it is actually measured out. So that's why it's better if we have this so we can kind of have a better idea. Maybe the visual will help you so that you can recreate it at your own home. So first off, we're going to start with our cheese blend. This is obviously made beforehand. The cheese blend has 6.5 ounces of Jarlsberg cheese, 5 1/4 ounces of Gruyere, and 4 ounces of Comté. So then what we're going to do is add some flour onto it, and again, I don't know how much, but what I do is I sprinkle some over the top and I start just kind of working it in. This is to help it not be just a lumpy mess when we go to do the fondue part. Some people use cornstarch, I like to use flour. It does not matter which one you like. You can experiment and see what suits your taste. You'll know it's right once it starts to feel like it's not quite so sticky, like it's kind of flowing a little bit better. I'm getting there, but I need just a little bit more probably. That's starting to feel right. We don't want to put too much in because then it'll just be gummy. So it's kind of just a little balance. I think I might just put a little dash more, and that's it. All right, that's pretty well worked in now. See, now it just kind of falls apart a lot easier. It doesn't want to stick. All right, next we're going to the fondue pot. So here's my fondue pot, and it's just a rival flame stainless steel one. There's all kinds of different models out there. But we're going to start with putting some garlic in. This has already, I used this wine, the Barefoot Chardonnay, and I have put in here 1.5 cups of Chardonnay. And I'm going to be adding some of this garlic. Now, again, this is the amount I don't measure, and depending on how much you like garlic, you might want to put a different amount. Whenever I do it, I just kind of spread it over the bottom. And once I have a pretty good spread, I need maybe just a little bit more. So I like garlic pretty well. Okay, that looks pretty good. So it looks something like this. Now we're going to turn on the fondue pot. Your fondue pot may be different, so you have to kind of experiment to see what's going to happen here. Usually I have to put it on this one a little bit close to the 200 mark, and it heats up pretty quickly. So here in a moment we're going to see the bubbles start forming, and it's going to cook for maybe a couple minutes here to get some of that alcohol evaporated off. You can see that it's been simmering. It's going to stop for a moment since the element kicked off. It's at temperature, but it's been going for about 2 minutes, so some of it has evaporated. We're now going to start adding the cheese in. And you want to add in just about a handful at a time, and then give it a stir to start it combining. If you add it all at once, you're going to end up with a big clump, so don't do that. Keep adding it, and you can see my thing's kicking back on, so I'm going to get a little bit more boiling here in a second. So I brought the temperature down. And it mostly just looks like a watery soup for a little bit for the first couple of additions. All right, looking good. Keep adding a little bit more. You can see that it's starting to kind of combine together. You have a little bit thicker looking soup, and you'll have some strings like this. This is okay. Perfectly acceptable. Definitely tell it's getting thicker now. So what I'm going to do now is I have two more ingredients I'm going to add at this moment. We have Kirschwasser, which is just a cherry liqueur. We're just going to put in a splash. About like that. And we're also going to give it a little squeeze of lemon juice. And then we'll continue adding some more cheese. Yeah, as we get closer and closer to being out of cheese, then we're going to have to pay attention to what texture we have. Now, depending on what you like, maybe you like a really thick fondue, you can make it as thick or as thin as you like. I like for it to be kind of in between. I don't want it too thick, but I also don't want it runny. So right now it's still a little bit runny, but I think I'm going to have just the right amount. Depending on humidity and other factors will depend on exactly how much cheese you're going to need to put in. So sometimes I end up with a little extra, sometimes I end up having to shred some extra, so it really depends. All right, this is looking good. Let's see how we're doing. So I usually do a little string test like this. Let's see how thick it's coating. You see on the fork how it's coating. So it is staying pretty well coated. I think I can probably go ahead and put in just a tiny bit more. I don't want it to go over. I don't want it to get too thick. Okay, I've got a pretty good coat going on, but I think it's maybe a little thick. So I'm going to add just a teeny splash more of my wine, which is perfectly fine to do. So it's all about balancing it out to see what kind of texture you're actually going to want in there, thickness. Now we're perfect. Okay. Doesn't take much. All right, now we have the fondue itself made, but we have seasoning. We want to put 2 seasonings in there. We're going to be using ground nutmeg and regular ground pepper. And again, I don't have a set amount for this, so I just kind of sprinkle in, and again, you can do this to your own taste too. Like that. And voila! We have our cheese fondue. That's all it takes. So we're going to be serving this fondue with the baguette that I made earlier, which I have cut up into pieces. So you want to take your baguette, dip it in here, or you can use apples, anything else that you feel like dipping in there. You want to dip that in and enjoy. Thank you again for joining me for another episode, or whatever you want to call it, of Cuisine de Michel. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with everyone, and we'll see you next time. Au revoir!